Evening and welcome to the Phoenixville Area School Board meeting for Monday, April 27th. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and
to the republic
for
which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. And at this time, Dr. Whitehead, can you call the roll?
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. I'll now call the roll. Mr. Caltagirone.
Here.
Mr. Goldberg.
Here.
Ms. Reed.
Present.
Ms. Seamus.
Here.
Dr. Serini.
Present.
Mrs. Soto.
Present.
Mr. Weiss.
Virtually here.
And Ms. Emanuel.
Here.
And our student representatives, Ms. Marwa.
Here.
And Mr. Perla.
Here.
Madam President, we have 8 school board members present and 2 student representatives, 1 board member not present.
Thank you. At this time, you'll see a list of the meetings, previous meetings and upcoming meetings. Would like to share, we're still working on the committee meeting structure, potential, etc. As we work through the budget, we are going to be looking at when we can and how we can continue the committee work, especially given everything going on, but that has not yet been determined and will be announced as soon as it is. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our student representatives for their student representative report.
Okay, so for the meeting of April 27th, earlier this week, we had a student superintendent forum meeting. So I'll go over some of the topics we discussed. We discussed the scheduled prom date, which would be July 25th, and the scheduled in-person graduation ceremony for the seniors, which would be August 1st. We talked about the updated grading policy, which means the 4th marking period will be replaced by the lowest grade from one of the first 3 marking periods if it is lower than any of the other ones. If the 4th marking period is equal to it or higher, it will be used, because there's no problems there. This is just to make sure that no grades are dropping significantly because of the online learning or affecting anybody for that reason. All finals are project-based, which is what we learned in the meeting. A 90+ average in every marking period for an honors level course also results in exemption from the final. AP exams will be taking place remotely from May 11th through May 22nd. Zoom classes and block scheduling classes are running well. 1st through 4th period are Monday, then Thursday, 5th through 9th are Tuesday and Friday. And Wednesday is a scheduled day for clubs and to catch up on homework and stuff like that. How students are adjusting to the stay-at-home, juniors and underclassmen. Personally, I've been doing well. Caitlin, I don't know if you've been doing well or not, but hopefully, I think that it's a good schedule that we've been on. I think the Wednesday off really helps get all the work done and know what I have to do for the rest of the week and finish up study for things I may have later in the week. And lastly, for me, the high school was named a 2020 Best High School by U.S. News and World Report, and we are number 49 in Pennsylvania. That's all I got.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to start off by thanking our administration, Dr. Fegley, Dr. Whitehead, Dr. Parkinson, and also our counselors, specifically Mrs. Ball, but all the counselors as well in general have done a really great job with the transition from in-person classes to online, as well as handling the senior class and making us feel heard and appreciated. I know we've all taken advantage of the virtual Zoom calls with Dr. P and Mrs. Bala in order to ask any questions that we have, as well as give any ideas that we may have. So on behalf of the class of 2020, we really appreciate that. And then to the announcements. So last Friday night, all of the schools in the PAC honored the class of 2020 by turning the lights on their main fields and with their scoreboards. I believe I sent some pictures to Mrs. Filipovic. So
Oh, wrong presentation. Let me get the right. I'm sorry, Caitlin. Try this again. Keep talking, Caitlin. It'll take me a second to get to it. I apologize.
no problem. But as he's pulling those up, those are just images of our scoreboard in Washington Field. So that was a special moment. As for the senior final schedule, as well as the final schedule for underclassmen, the last day for seniors will be May 22nd. Thank you, Dr. Fegley and Dr. Whitehead, for approving that. And the last day for new material for underclassmen will be June 5th. I believe their last day is June 10th. So in that gap, they'll be taking advantage of working on their project-based finals and presenting them and such. And then as for the senior celebration week, which will be taking place Monday, June 1st through Wednesday, June 10th, this is an opportunity for the class of 2020 to be honored, to turn some of those events that we're missing out on into virtual events. So to go through the week, Monday we'll start off with an athletic highlights video. Tuesday will be the arts, music, and theater showcase. Wednesday will be the senior slideshow, and there will be a video compiled of send-off video messages from the staff. And I know I'm looking forward to this. It is open to the entire district, not just the high school teachers. So I'm sure we're all looking forward to hearing from our teachers all across the past 12 years. Thursday will be the Impact Awards. Friday will be Decision Day, which will be a video compiled of videos sent in by the students announcing what their plans are for next year, whether it be you and your college apparel saying what you'll be studying next year, or if you're entering the military or the workforce. And then next week, or the following week, Monday, June 8th, will be the senior awards ceremony. The next day will be baccalaureate ceremony, and Wednesday will be the virtual graduation ceremony. And for all these events, I know Mrs. Bala and Dr. Parkinson are organizing watch parties. I know they're definitely having one for the graduation ceremony, but I think the goal is to have one for each of the days in order for the class of 2020 to reminisce and enjoy these videos all together. And then lastly, as Gavin mentioned earlier, the junior-senior prom is scheduled for Saturday, July 25th, and focus will be taking place afterwards that night as well. Baccalaureate is scheduled for Friday, July 31st, and then the graduation ceremony will be the following day, Saturday, August 1st. But Dr. Parkinson has made it very clear that if for whatever reason we can't hold specifically the graduation ceremony, at that time, we will have it eventually once the governor announces that the stay-at-home is lifted and that we can have an event of this magnitude. It will take place 2 Saturdays from when that announcement has been made. So that's greatly appreciated by the class of 2020 that we're ensured a live graduation. And that's all that Gavin and I have for tonight.
And the pictures are up there for you,
Thank you.
are shared so that everyone at home can see that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any board members have any questions?
No, best wishes to all of you. And it's great to hear your update. Thank you. And Dr. Feg, we had a board member who was having an issue getting in. Mrs. Broker, are you able to hear now? Can you hear? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Disregard. Thank you.
So at this time, just prior to moving to public comment, I would like to share with the community a press release that was shared this morning. It will be on our website under the board tab. We will have a whole section devoted to the forensic audit. So I'll read the press release and then share some additional information. On Wednesday, April 22nd, the forensic audit was completed by Eisner Amper accounting firm, was delivered to the Phoenixville Area School District Board of Directors. The report has been forwarded to the Phoenixville Police Department. Sergeant Detective Mark will be leading the investigation into potential misappropriation of funds by a former PASD employee. Sergeant Detective Mark is working closely with the Assistant DA, Miles Matson, on this high priority case. At the request of the investigating authorities, the audit will not be released to the public until we have received clearance from the police and the district attorney. As previously shared, PASD learned of the potential misappropriations of funds in August 2019. Immediate actions were taken, including but not limited to contacting the authorities. A forensic audit firm, Eisner Ampner, was retained in late October, and their work has been ongoing. To see related documents, including a full timeline, please visit the Board of Directors page on the PASD website. The forensic audit will be released to the public once the district has been advised to do so by the police and the DA. So those documents that are relating to those issues will be available on the website for the public to view. It has been sent to the media. It is also on, the press release is also on social media. So at this time, we will begin the public comment section. Public comments can be emailed to boardmeeting@pasd.com. We will have a second public comment section at the conclusion of the meeting. So throughout the meeting, if a member of the public should be so moved, please feel free to email and it will be read at the conclusion of the meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and they will be read by Dr. Whitehead, who can take it from here. Please and thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a sum total of 15 public comments. I'll read approximately half of those in this section. So the first comment is from Ms. Karen Guerrero, Schuylkill Township. Her comment is the district planning for social distancing at schools in the fall? When will the district provide information on the forensic audit to taxpayers? Next public comment is from Mr. John Mraz, Meadowbrook Lane, Schuylkill Township. I'm requesting that these written comments be included in their entirety in the official minutes of this meeting. Agenda items. I have read through the agenda this evening and have several comments. The entire backup of this agenda is 460 pages. None of these items will be discussed, just voted upon. That is why I believe the public should be made aware of the following. Approval of March 15th meeting minutes. When I review what is attached to this agenda, I do not see what I discussed and handed in at that meeting. We have been told that in order to have our comments officially part of the record, we need to hand in a written statement. There are only 3 sentences of what I said at that meeting in my 3-minute discussion. This is not the first time. My hand-in discussions were missing before, and I noted that last time and still not sure if that's been corrected. I believe this is a concerted effort not to include any documentation or exactly what a person says at public participation. What is this administration or board trying to accomplish by not having the minutes of meetings correctly stated? This just shows the ultimate lack of transparency that this administration and board are showing to the public. Why should we have any faith with this administration? Board finance. Knowing that details are not going to be discussed at this meeting, I would like to inform the public exactly what the board will be voting on under the employment agreement. If you go to the full agenda backup, it reads the administration respectfully requests board approval of the attached employment agreement between the Phoenixville Area School District and Dr. Jeremy Melber, effective July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2024 at an annual salary of $165,000. What will the job title of Dr. Melber be? Director of Finance or Business Services? How is the compensation arrived at, and how does this compare with other districts our size? Here again, why does it take assumptions and searching to determine what this board is doing? This is our tax money, and we taxpayers elected all of you to be overseers of this district. This new position should have been listed in the regular agenda, not buried as you always do. The initial budget had a 2.6% increase from last week's meeting. It is now showing a 1.5 increase. I understand this is not final, but to have any increase during this crisis could be a burden on many taxpayers. With the district now about to hire a new director at a salary of $165,000 and having $80,000 in 2020 for a controller, how does this compare to the previous business manager and compensation package? Are we adding 100% overhead to the business office? Due to the seriousness of the crisis, Dr. Fegley should offer to take a 20% or $50,000 pay cut from his $250,000 salary, which is the cost of the forensic audit that us taxpayers have to pay. From what I hear, this is all due to lack of internal control issues during Dr. Fegley's 11-year tenure. And where is the forensic audit? Finally, the 2021 budget should now include the revenue from the Phoenixville Athletic Fund balance dated March 31st, 2020 of $70,000, $442.61 as included in this agenda. This would help feed the students and provide them with necessary resources for remote learning. Next comment is from Kathleen Mraz, Schuylkill Township, Meadowbrook Lane. Good evening, this is Kathleen Mraz, Schuylkill Township. I'm requesting that these written comments be included in their entirety in the official minutes of this meeting. I understand, agenda item, board finance. I understand that very little discussion will take place on this item, but wanted the public to have some information of the hiring that is up for vote this evening. An agreement with Belwar Kelly LLP for legal counsel on any special matters for remainder of the 1920 school year and the 2021 school year. I would like to have all board members and the public view the Belwar Kelly LLP website. Per the website, quote, dedicated team committed to protecting your future, whether you are facing charges for a serious crime or have been injured in an accident that was not your fault. It is critical that you have strong legal representation from a qualified Pennsylvania attorney. The outcome of these cases have the potential to impact you for the rest of your life. At Belwar Kelly LLP in Westchester, Chester County, we provide aggressive results-oriented representation to clients throughout the southeastern Pennsylvania in a variety of complex criminal defense and personal injury matters, end quote. If you look under the case results, you will read, quote, know us by the outcomes we achieve, end quote. Very interesting to see the highlights that read, here are just two items. Evan Kelly negotiates probation sentence for teacher accused of sexually assaulting her student, end quote. Quote, more than 60 charges dismissed at preliminary hearing in defendant accused with involvement in Penn State hazing murder, end quote. Again, take a look at the website and see the specialty of this firm. You are hiring a law firm, not an individual lawyer. Last question on farmhouse and house on Pat House. Rumors are circulating indicating that the renter of 33 West Pat House is no longer interested in purchasing the farmhouse and that a second potential buyer was identified, but they too are no longer interested. So what is the current status on the sale of the farmhouse and 33 West Pat House? Thank you, and Stacy. The next comment is from Bernadine Clayton, Schuylkill Township resident. I'm requesting these written comments be included in their entirety with the official minutes of this meeting. Where is the forensic audit? It's been 6 months since the Eisner Amper firm was hired at an amount not to exceed $50,000. We have heard many rumors, with many dealing with the lack of internal controls from the business office. If that is correct, when did the administration know about the lack of controls, and were they noted by the firm Rayner and Company, the school auditors? 2, I understand the district will receive $290,000 through the federal coronavirus relief legislation. How is this going to be spent? 3, in last week's presentation under Impact 2019-2020 budget, you stated, quote, we have incurred significant additional costs in the area of technology in order to provide educational services remotely to students, end quote. Exactly what has been that cost number? It would be meaningful to hear the amount. Please show transparency. 4, and final, I continue to question along with taxpayers why you are allowing our funds to be controlled by the Phoenixville Booster Club. That amount exceeds $70,000 per the report listed in tonight's complete agenda. This is our money from the rental of fields and can be used for other school expenses and help reduce the upcoming 2021 budget, which is now showing a 1.5% increase. Thank you, Bernadine Clayton. The next comment is from Ms. Lisa Longo. Public comment for tonight. Once again, I am writing to ask that the board return to public meetings with live stream and live public comment. A broadcast meeting with limited public comment read by someone else is not the same. Last week, none of my committee questions and comments were read, nor was the timeline of unanswered issues and questions. I'm very concerned that this board is not functioning with transparency. I'm requesting on the public record and ask that this comment be read in its entirety and put into the minutes. I request this board ask the board president apologize and retract her false statement that I was threatening the district with legal action. That is not true, and this misinformation is being used to stonewall questions regarding multiple issues within the district, including the possible misuse and diversion of district funds. changes to the scope of the forensic audit, failure to follow the decisions agreed to by the board, and now it seems possible attempts to not reveal the findings of the investigation. I ask that the board as a whole issue an apology for this egregious behavior and immediately form a community advisory committee, including members of the former community advisory committee, and immediately allow a review and report to the community on these issues. During this time of community crisis, it is more important than ever that we act together in cooperation and not allow these misstatements of fact and issues to overshadow the important work that needs to be done. As I am working with state legislators and members of Congress and speaking to our great elected officials and their staff, including Senator Bob Casey, Senator Andy Dinniman, Congresswoman Christine Houlihan, and many others, members of our local school board refuse to respond to simple questions and requests for information. It is unprofessional and may violate the sunshine laws. I truly hope that at least 5 members of this board will act in the best interest of the community and put an end to this nonsense. I ask this board vote tonight for a public apology and motion to form advisory committee on board oversight. It only takes 5 people to do the right thing and insist on transparent ethical action. Lisa Longo, consultant, business and property management, finance, accounting staff. The remaining comments are for the second public comment portion. So that concludes the first public comment.
Thank you. This time we're going to move to our consent agenda. Just want to remind folks we have all these items were discussed last week's workshop meeting. So at this time, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, President, we have a request from the board secretary to remove the February minutes and the March minutes from approval.
They're currently listed in the agenda, so if we could do that through a motion, since they're currently listed in the agenda, and that was last change.
I'd like to make a motion to remove the minutes that Mrs. Berger's requesting. What were they? Which ones?
February and March.
February and March.
Is there a second?
She just raised her hand for a second.
Discussion?
I'm wondering what was the reason behind it, just so I know.
Ms. Broker, space bar? If you push the space bar on your computer.
Here. Try now, Mrs. Broker.
I'm sorry? Can you
We
hear?
have you.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, the meeting minutes were provided it's somewhat of a long story. And I do apologize, but I had asked for these to be held in that there were numerous, I got several iterations of the February minutes, all of which contained some material mistakes as far as naming, who the secretary is, who was present, motions.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Dr. Fegley or whoever, can you mute everyone else? I can hear like ice cream music or something.
Certainly.
It's coming from Ms. Broker.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I will tell him to stop playing. He's playing the piano. I hate to do that. Okay.
Sorry, Lori, I'm trying to listen, but it's very.
I understand. No, these minutes are not complete. They, as I said before, and I've talked to Dr. Fegley beforehand, I have the minutes. I was given multiple iterations. I had asked for a downloadable copy so I can use the assistive software. That way I could very easily check, to make sure they were correct. There are some serious mistakes, including the names of people present, the titles of people who were present in, there are written statements that were asked to be included that were not included, and trying to my best to use an assistive software when I'm not able to download it makes it very difficult. I had suggested that I could get them done fully now that I have a Word doc, probably within the next couple of days. And because these are the ultimate public record, it's imperative they be correct. And when there are mislabelings of people's offices and their presence or non-presence and their votes and the recordings of votes, that could be something that could come back to bite us. And again, it is, I think, imperative that they be correct. And I am happy to ask for a special meeting to just vote on them within the next couple of days. But as they stand now, if they're voted on, you will be voting on an incorrect public record, which is not a good idea. And so that is my reason.
Ms. Soto, you had a comment?
Yeah, I thought we had spoken at a previous meeting about Mrs. Reed helping Mrs. Broker with the minutes. Is that happening between you two? I'm just because I'm trying to see how we can help you, Miss Broker, with this.
Yeah, I had asked for a compatible. I had asked for video that could be downloaded and compatible with assistive software that makes it compliant with, makes it just a heck of a lot easier than sitting and watching a couple-hour meeting. And no, definitely Miss Reed has been very helpful, but there's been mistakes that she didn't catch because for whatever reason, I mean, she didn't catch. So the best possible scenario would be for me to be able to have the video, have the audio compatible with the assistive software. Then I could get these done so quick you wouldn't believe it. Otherwise,
I do think that you should take up the offer and have Mrs. Reed help you if it's.
No, she is helping me. She's
okay.
Miss Reed has been great. She's helping me. When she gets them to me, I found that there's still some pretty significant errors, and that's my concern, is just to make sure they're correct, because again, this is our official public record. It's what people are going to go back to. And if I could just have them in a format that could be compatible, it would make it a lot easier. But as it is now, I have, I can have them done within a couple of days. If you would like to schedule a special meeting for just to vote on the minutes, that's what I suggested when I talked to Dr. Fegley. And I think that's a small amount of time, given the amount of issues getting the compatibility. So yeah.
Lori, I'm sorry to do this, but I don't think you have a concept of how loud that music is. It's really tough to listen to what you're saying. I know it might not seem like it, but it's tough to hear you.
I'm sorry. Okay, you know what? Give me a second. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Also, I feel like we've had this conversation before. Has this been brought up before?
There have been repeated motions to postpone votes on minutes.
There's been repeated requests for these minutes to be corrected. And I ultimately, became frustrating to the point where I needed to just do it, just watch the videos, that will take a long time. So I did request, this was probably about a week, 2 weeks ago, that I could just download them to assistive software where I could get them done literally within minutes. That didn't happen. I mean, for one meeting was put onto a Facebook page, but parts of it were mute, so I couldn't do it. Again, when you have, we cannot, if you approve these minutes, I cannot sign them because they name people as titles that they don't have. They talk about votes on motions that don't that involve people who are absent. It's not going to look good in the public record. And so again, there have been occasions where there's been meeting minutes not posted for 5-6 months. Now that's not acceptable. And believe me, I'm troubled that I can't, that I've done, that I can't have this for you tonight. And I would absolutely welcome a special meeting within the next, by Thursday, and they'll be ready, but they absolutely cannot be voted on tonight because they contain material mistakes, and that needs to be fixed. And they will be fixed and if I could get the assistive software, we would not have these problems.
If there were mistakes that you knew about, why were they not emailed to the appropriate individuals to be corrected?
They were.
Dr. Fagley, has any updates that have been received then therefore been corrected?
I don't know, or I'm unaware of any updates that were sent. I can go back and look.
Yeah, I did send several emails.
I'm not saying you didn't, Mrs. Broker. I'm just saying I'm not aware of any. And
yeah, yes, I did do so. And I'll have to go through, but I did also, I reached out to Ms. Claus, and I also asked for the original version so that I could, again, make him work with the assistive software. That's
actually very, very much correct. Last Sunday a week ago,
right,
you reached out and you asked Mrs. Claus for a downloadable copy. Mrs. Claus and Mr. Motzer worked on to the best of their ability to try to get you something on Sunday.
Right. And I appreciated that. And that was the meeting from March. But it was, as I wrote them back, there were multiple parts of it that were muted. And so that's why I just said, please let me just download from the website the actual discussions and put them, have them they should be compatible with assistive software. And this is something.
Ms. Broker, I'm really, really sorry to interrupt, but we have 20 minutes until we have to break for an executive.
Okay, I was trying to answer your question, Madam President. I'm sorry.
I'd also like to add, did we not have someone read during public comment that there was something omitted from the minutes? Mr. Mraz, I believe. So it's an administrative detail. It's not that we're holding anything up. So what's another month? I mean, it's just, we want to cross our T's and dot our I's, especially with all the attention that we have on the district, and we want to make sure that what we disseminate is accurate. So there's no harm in waiting and giving Mrs. Broker the opportunity to properly document what transpired at our meeting.
I'm happy to, a month, I offered when I talked to Dr. Fegley, I can have them.
Yeah, you absolutely did say you'd have it done in a week.
I can have them.
And respectfully, I said,
Yeah.
let's just wait. The next meetings are in about 2 to 3 weeks. So,
I don't even, look, I mean, I want these up. I believe me, I want these up, and they can get done. It just, if I could make a motion for a special meeting, if you
No motion. Ms. Soto, you had a comment?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's arguing about why Miss Broker doesn't have the minutes completed. I'm just trying to understand if she needs additional help. That's all. The only reason why I'm asking questions is, if she needs more time, then so be it. But I just want to make sure that she has the help that she needs. That's all.
Oh, well, thank you. I really do appreciate that. And again, the greatest possible thing that you could give as a gift would just to make them the minutes so that they can be downloaded from the website. And if I could download them and then run them through the assistive software, this could be done so fast. You wouldn't believe it.
Noted. So at this time, are there any additional comments?
I just have a comment that if we could make sure we're following ADA requirements, I don't believe that closed captioning is enabled, meaning turned on for YouTube. And that also goes right into the transcript feature for anyone who, might be hearing impaired. That's really important, that as a district, especially if we are going for virtual meetings, we should really have someone look at and make sure we're complying. If someone could take a moment to do that, please. Thank you.
So, Dr.
We've discussed that before. That is something that is currently ongoing, and that is part of why we are redoing the entire website. This was discussed in previous meetings. Thank you.
Well, no, I'm referring to our current virtual Zoom meetings that are being posted on YouTube. We should have the closed captioning on. That's a present thing that we're doing. That's very important. And whether or not we need to have that for our live stream.
Noted. So at this time, with any further?
We have a vote.
Okay. So if this is a motion in favor of pulling the February
I'm
and
sorry.
March minutes.
I had asked Dr. Fegley and was told that this was not something that needed to be motioned, and that this is a ministerial.
The understanding was that you would have the March minutes be pulled, not February. So February.
Yes, but wait, hold up. You don't know the discussions that went on.
So we've actually, Mrs. Broker, because there's been such a discussion on this topic,
yes,
it does need to be voted on at this point.
Well, okay.
If it had just been pulled, we would not have to have had the vote. But
I asked you to pull them.
I cannot pull something from an agenda. That has to be done in public as we have done it.
It's interesting.
It's been requested to be pulled.
Something different just about 20 minutes ago. So I can't sign off on minutes that are incorrect. So I would ask then that we would.
There is a motion to pull the minutes.
I would amend the motion, and the motion will be that the minutes will be in final form by Thursday, and that if 5 of us can get together on a Zoom meeting, noticed, then I will have them at that time.
That's a separate motion. So that is a new motion to the previous. So this is an amendment to the first motion. The first motion being pulling the minutes, the February and March minutes. The second motion that we now need to get a second for is the request that there be a special meeting on Thursday with notice to approve just the minutes. So is there a second for that amendment to the motion?
I'll second that.
Discussion. I can't in good conscience ask everybody to come back on Thursday, I'm sorry, and ask for the additional expense for a meeting that is for something that's not going to have an immediate impact. My request would be if the original motion passes, that we push them to next month, not hold an entirely separate meeting just for that, including the expense of announcing it.
That's fine. I mean, I know we have, I think we have some budget meetings coming up. Maybe it could be put on as a special vote for that, so it can be quicker.
So are you rescinding your amended motion?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but the earliest.
Okay, fine. So you are pulling that motion. So we're back to the original or amendment. You're back to the original motion to pull February and March minutes. So an aye vote is to pull the February and March minutes from this consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed.
Abstentions? Motion carries.
I'd like to make another motion if we're done that topic.
Yes,
Excuse me?
I said yes.
Okay. I'd like to move that we remove from the consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, and 12, and vote individually. Would you like me to repeat that, anyone?
Yes, please.
Certainly. I'd like to move that we remove from the consent agenda items number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, and 12.
Madam President, since there is a desire to remove them, given it's a consent agenda, you can just decide when the board will discuss this, so we can move the rest of the consent agenda and then discuss these items at the end through individual motion.
Need a second?
No, you actually don't need a second. You can just, that is actually what can happen with the consent agenda. You can just remove items if there's a member that wishes to have a separate vote. So I would recommend that we just accept that and move on with the items that are still on the consent agenda.
Fine, thank you.
I would like to make a motion, and I hope it's not duplicative, because it's just, I would move to remove business item 6 and 7 and business office item number 8.
I did move to.
Madam Chair, we have, Madam President, we have one additional item. Item number 7 has been added to the list.
Noted.
So at this point, the items still remaining on the consent agenda are items 9, 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Did we not just have a vote for 16 and it passed? That we were going to remove it?
I'm sorry, you're right, my bad. I'm just going through.
No, I just want to make sure I didn't.
My bad.
No problem.
So 9, 13, 14, and 15. Are on consent agenda.
Thank you. Hearing nothing further, all those in favor of approving items 9, 10, 13, 14, and 15, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Number 1, approval for Schrader to complete a feasibility study for the new school.
I'll make a motion.
You just mute yourself so nobody can hear me now.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
I'm sorry.
We have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
There was a motion and a second. Discussion.
I'll second the discussion.
It is time for discussion. You wanted this pulled, so it's time to discuss.
Can I, I'm sorry, I'm gonna I have to move. So it's going to take about 30 seconds, just FYI.
Do we need to discuss one point at a time or the general, just so I know how to?
1 point at a time.
Okay, so we're starting with number 1 then?
Correct.
May we put number 1 and 2 together, or we'll do number 1. I believe, as I mentioned last week, that deferring this vote for 1 month as we have the uncertain economic times would be the best move for our district, and possibly even putting that out for bids would be beneficial as well. There are so many uncertainties, and even if a feasibility study is done now, the environment that will be tested and viewed is dynamic and changing. And so it's possible that if we invest in that now, that we may have to reinvest if and when we're in a position to fund any type of project. So again, I'm all for moving forward and building this out, but I just think that the timing would make a tremendous difference if we could just wait a month and see what happens economically. Last week we were at 22 million unemployed. We're now up to 26 million with the numbers that the Department of Labor gave a couple days ago. And so that's a big concern to me. And I just think that we would be remiss to not wait and to just agree to spend. And then especially when any research or data that's going to be done is potentially obsolete before it even gets in our inbox. Thank you.
Any additional comment?
Can we mute Ms. Broker, please?
Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor of item number 1 under B and G, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Are we voting on to accept it or to remove it? Can you please
Correct, to accept it.
Okay.
Dr. Sereni, did you vote?
Right, I'm sorry.
No, I do not. And first of all, Mrs. Broker is,
I don't know how to do this thing.
could we give her a moment to?
I'm sorry.
We have 7 minutes until an executive session.
Am I?
Desperately trying to get through this agenda.
There's no reason to rush this agenda. We are talking about.
There's a vote pending. Yes or no, please?
No.
You're actually,
I need to be able to speak. Is there a way that I can?
We hear you, Mrs. Broker.
Discussion part is over. We're in the middle of a vote.
Yeah, I didn't have an opportunity, if I may.
We're in the middle of a vote.
Okay.
We did not give her appropriate opportunity to.
During a vote, there is no discussion per Robert's Rules of Order. The votes are yes or no. I apologize, President Emanuel, for taking that.
Okay.
Greatly appreciate your input.
I don't know if I'm on or not.
You're on.
All right. I would agree with what you said, and there's absolutely no reason.
Yes or no, Ms. Broker?
I did
you
not.
would like to vote no, you can.
No.
Yes or no?
Well, I would prefer that you not disallow me to have.
Ms. Broker, I am sorry. We are in the middle of a vote, and once a vote is called, we have to vote.
This is a very important situation that we're in, and we've got a lot of taxpayers who are in very.
May I call a point of order, please? We're in the middle of a vote.
point of order has been called.
I don't even know.
That cannot be debated. The vote has to be taken at this point.
So just for clarification, we are voting for, I'm sorry, on which one?
Just number 1, item number 1.
Item number 1.
How many ayes do we have at the moment?
Majority.
Okay, so everyone is
So
essentially.
I'm respectfully asking for the vote to be called at this point.
Well, it sounds like we have a majority, so it sounds like it's already.
But we need to hear the yeas and the nays so we know how many noes we have.
Okay.
For challenge.
So item 1. Okay.
So, Madam
The
President.
Schrader Group study of feasibility.
Why don't you recall the vote, Madam President?
Can we do by
Roll call.
roll call, please? May we do by roll call? I'd like our constituents to know who's voting yes and no explicitly, please.
We
Thank
have
you.
to do by roll.
All right. Dr. Whitehead, would you please do a roll call vote?
Thank you. And I'll call the roll. Ms. Reed,
Aye.
Ms. Shamus,
Yes.
Dr. Serini,
No.
Mrs. Soto,
Yes.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Mrs. Broker,
No.
Mr. Caltagirone,
Yes.
Ms. Emanuel,
Yes.
Goldberg,
No.
motion carries.
Thank you. Now on to item number 2, the approval to hire Schrader Group for the SLEP study of the district.
So
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion?
I'd like to ask one of the public comments that we heard this evening suggested an alternate option, which I believe was using our internal folks. So I just would like to know a little bit more about that, the feasibility of that, and what we've done in the past.
I'm sorry, may I comment? Thank you. In regards to having our internal maintenance people do the SLEP study, they are not, from what I can understand, we often outsource the boiler, the chillers, things like that, and they might not be able to do that for the SLEP for that because they either aren't qualified or we have third parties do that for us.
Thank you. Are there other options that we could consider? And what have we done in the past, by the way? We outsource?
About approximately 9 years ago, we had gone out and had a complete service life extension program conducted on the district. It is something that you outsource because you need experts who come in who know all different aspects of the building. You want a different view on the buildings, and you want a different view on how to go about making sure that you're maintaining them so that their life is extended. So administration's recommendation is that we go with an outside group for the service life extension. One of the reasons for going with this group is Schrader would actually be using the folks that were here 8-9 years ago. So there's less of a learning curve. They would be able to see what we were able to accomplish and actually go back and give us some very specific recommendations for continuing to improve the length of the buildings.
The one thought I have is, again, and my concern with the architect, obviously that vote passed. I just asked the board to hold off. My problem is not necessarily with the firm that was chosen. It's more about when we do this and having to redo research. Same with the SLEP. If we are going to have a higher focus on online learning, we're going to be looking at our facilities in a very different way. And my concern is that we are going to invest resources in obtaining information that's going to be obsolete before we even, it's in our inbox. So again, if we could wait, that would be my utopia, but especially we're looking at our resources in buildings and infrastructure, because if we are seeing a trend in going towards online or hybrid, that's drastically going to impact how we use our facilities. Thank you.
I think that waiting a month is going to be fruitless because, to your point, things are dynamic. And 2 months from now, it'll change again. And 3 months from now, it'll change again. At some point, you got to snap a baseline. Things you can measure against that baseline if there seems to be something relevant. And I think there's value in moving forward to at least establish the baseline that we have now, that the group would perform, because even giving them the okay, I would imagine we're talking a few weeks of time before they actually perform the operation of doing the inspections and analysis. So we may pretty much be in the time period you're thinking of any which way. So that's my point of view.
I would actually be in favor of waiting as long as possible, but I believe that this feasibility study is involved or ties to our bond rating. Is that correct, Dr. Fegley? Is that?
This is not tied to our bond
Okay.
rating.
So there's no reason, there's no time sensitive reason to get this done now, correct?
Well, we would like, I'm sorry.
I would respectfully disagree with that. I think this is the right time. The buildings are open. They can be seen easily. And folks are starting to become aware of what the various worlds are. This is a great time for us to get this done and get ahead of the curve so that when we come back in the fall, we can start planning out the projects for the following year. That's my personal opinion, though.
Mr. Caltagirone, you had a question.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask everyone to remember that we had a protocol that we had all agreed to via these meetings that is not being followed, first off, and I would appreciate if we go back to it for those of us that are trying to adhere to that. Second of all, to the SLEP agenda item, we have a group of existing buildings that we know will need ongoing maintenance, regardless of what is going to happen with the Hares Hill project down the road and the feasibility study and those things. The SLEP is as much about the existing properties and making sure we know what we need to deal with down the next 5 years as far as maintenance and all of those issues. That is not something that is going to stop because we have we're not in school right now or using the physical buildings right now. At some point, we will be using those buildings again, and we need to maintain those buildings, and we need to know what's coming down the pipe. So this SLEP list is vitally important to us. It's very long in the tooth at, as Dr. Fegley said, 8-9 years ago. I think it was 2013, the last one was done. This needs to get done.
Is it, just as a question?
I'm sorry, Ms. Broker, Ms. Soto is next. She had.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to.
I pretty much am echoing what Mr. Caltagirone and Dr. Fegley said. I think now's the best time to get it done, especially now that the buildings are empty. And I think it's great if we jump ahead on some of these things that we know are going to be projects that we're going to have to get done in the future and help us with our budgeting and planning. So I definitely think it's worth looking at.
Mr. Goldberg, you were next.
With Chris on. Chris, the protocol you're talking about, I assume, is the raising of the hands then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I feel like did we talk about all this? We just talked about this not 1 week ago, all the same points and all the same reasons given, if I'm incorrect. Can we vote on this thing?
Ms. Broker would like to make a comment.
Sorry if I'm not using the correct format. I apologize. No, I just had a question, actually. Would this involve basically all of our properties, even the ones that are currently not in use, or is it ones that are actively, well, not actively right now, but you know what I mean, that would be imminently used if the thing was lifted?
This does not include our properties that are up for sale.
Okay, so that would be the elementary school, the 2 elementary schools. Okay.
Okay, seeing no further comments or questions, this time we'll call the vote on number 2 to hire Schrader Group to do the SLEP. All those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? Motion carries. Third item is the approval to do the concrete project in front of Barclay.
May I call the vote? This was supposed to call the question. This was supposed to be a consent agenda, and I would like to call the question.
Question is called. Need a vote on calling the question. If I remember correctly on Robert's rules, I apologize, Ms. Reed, but it is not, it is not to be discussed. So just call the question.
So I'm just calling this one to, I apologize, I honestly am
No,
not.
we're calling the question saying that there's
Well.
not to be any discussion. So it's a call the question. You have to get a majority to vote yes on call the question.
And that's to vote on item number 3 or all of the rest of the consent agenda?
I understand.
I meant number 3.
Yeah.
So an aye vote is to call the vote on item number 3. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Calling the vote. All those in favor of item number 3, aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention. Moving on to item number 4, which is the boilers at Barclay.
I motion.
Oh, okay, I'll second it then.
Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention.
Madam President, please know that we're recording that as a 9-0 vote since we heard no nays.
I would like to clarify that the reason why I pulled 3 and 4 was to take 30 seconds to let our constituents know that we did take the time to speak to these contractors, and I believe we even got better prices, but since Ms. Reed decided to call the vote, we didn't get that out there. So yes, I was in favor of these contracts. I wanted to take just a courtesy 30 seconds and let our constituents know, but thank you. So are we now at number 5?
We have Mr. Caltadrone. Sorry, never mind. Yes, we have item number 5, the personnel report.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a
Are we-
motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion. And please keep in mind, if it's about a specific individual, that is executive session information.
The reason why I pulled this one was to, again, take a brief moment to follow up, to give our constituents the courtesy of knowing that we did have a very meaningful executive session to discuss our concerns that were with the decisions that we have to vote on here, and that we looked at the items that we're voting on very carefully and thoughtfully, and you know, that we did take the time to look into these matters. That was it. I just wanted to point that out. And Dr. Fegley, or someone, could you please send me the attachment, because again, I'm having an issue with 365 and I'm not able to see the details. So if someone would be kind enough to please send that to my personal Gmail. I think my district email is working again, though. I would appreciate it. I just can't get into 365 for any of the, Mrs. Berger, I see your hands raised.
I noticed that as well. Ms.
Yeah.
Brown.
The space bar.
The space bar.
You can speak now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure, and I don't know, I was not at that executive session. I'm just assuming that all the people that are recommended have the appropriate certifications.
They do.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Seeing no further comments or questions, all those in favor of approving the personnel report? Aye.
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 Those opposed?
Abstain. I can't access this documentation. I don't have access to it right now. to verify that everything I was just looking at. So I'm going to abstain right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to abstain as well. I don't have the Office 365.
Motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, the approval of disbursements. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
I will second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Yes, there are several, there are several individual items that I have concerns about. And I'm not sure if, I think they may be executive session matters. And so I'm not really sure how to go about that. I know it's a long roster. And so I don't know exactly how to proceed.
For the sake of moving this meeting forward, I'm going to motion that we pull the disbursements and hold till April when we can get clarification.
I will second that, President.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of pulling the disbursements, aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
No.
Abstention? Motion carries. Number 7, acknowledgement of receipts. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I will second.
Discussion?
Mrs. Broker, that was one that you had requested, I believe, to be pulled, the acknowledgement of the receipt for the financial reports?
Number 6, she pulled.
Yeah, well, they're sort of bound up together. So it seems one is sort of a subset of the other.
Yeah, I didn't pull 7 only because we're just receiving it as opposed to approving, although I'm not in favor of receiving. But for this one, just for the sake of moving it along, I didn't pull that one.
If that's all, then that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 8. This is for the permission for admin to display the proposed final budget. All the motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Final budget.
Ms. Broker?
Yes, I am. I saw that my name was put onto something about this. I don't think that it's, to vote on the. I think we are being very hasty right now in voting on a proposed. This suggests to me that we're moving along essentially with an early vote on the adoption, and to the extent that that's the case, I think that is folly in that yes, we are having massive economic dislocation going on, and things are changing on the ground swiftly, and we have budget meetings set up already on the calendar. We have a duty by our policy, a 600 series policies, to be very deliberate and be very circumspect in discussing what the proposed budget should be. And so to put that the final budget, proposed final budget, to even be talking about that right now is, I think, putting the cart before the horse, and it's not, I don't think it's doing right by our taxpayers. And why, we have time, and we have budget discussions, and we have an obligation to be very, very careful, especially now. And
this is simply to advertise. This has nothing to do with the percentage, the actual budget, the final budget, any of that. It is simply allowing admin to advertise 10 days prior. That's all.
Well, okay. I mean,
right, but this reads the way it's written here. It says authorize for administration to display the 2021 proposed final budget. Proposed. We're still looking at different iterations
not the
of
budget.
it.
So right
Excuse me?
now, it is there. This is just giving us the permission so we can set up and advertise at the time that is appropriate. It is not forcing the things to move faster. It is simply getting administration ready. This is something we ask for every year at this time, that once the board comes and says, this is the final budget, we're ready to move right into doing the advertisement.
Then
So
could
just
we
asking
maybe,
that take care of.
should we put language in there that says once the board approves it? Because right now it looks like we're putting something out there that's just whatever iteration's been, like, it's not clear.
It's just,
So it says 10 days before the scheduled final budget adoption. So whatever that is.
well, and that could be, right, and that could be literally June 20th. So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Goldberg hasn't spoken yet and he would like to speak.
I'm sorry.
Please take yourself off mic, Mr. Goldberg.
I think what's going on, okay. This is no different than we do every other year. There's nothing unclear about this or vague about it. That the language speaks for itself. It's nothing more than asking for permission to display this 10 days beforehand when the time comes. It's not accelerating anything.
Okay.
So long as we take, okay, so long as we're not voting on a proposed budget.
Well, that's not what it says, so we're not.
I know, it seems premature to be doing this now. It's strange, but that's fine as long as we're not doing anything else, that's fine.
No, and again, this is no different than any other year. We do the exact same thing every year.
I know, and we pass the budget early.
Well, whether you agree with the budget or not, that's a whole different argument.
Okay.
That's not what this is.
As long as we're not, that's fine. As long as that's all it is. And it's not going to be posted until such time as we have our proposed budget, thoughtfully done. And then 20 days after that.
So at this time, those in favor of authorizing admin to post 10 days prior, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstention. Motion carries. Number 11, approval of legal services. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to pull it. Is that you're asking me?
No. Motion for the item.
Meaning?
So
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
I'd like to have a little more time to look at the various legal contracts that we have and make sure that we're picking the firm that will best represent our needs, and also just have more time to look at it more thoughtfully.
If you would like to make a motion to pull it, you can do that.
Well, isn't that what I did with my original motion to pull them out from a consent agenda, or we're revoting?
No.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion.
Individually discuss each one.
Got it. Okay, then I'd like to make a motion while we're at it to do that for number 11 and 12, please, because those were my
second. Is there a second?
Somebody's Mrs. Broker's raising her hand to second that.
I understand, and she can jump in with a second, but I need to hear a second before anything else happens.
She's seconding.
I'll second.
Discussion of the motion of pulling items number 11 and 12.
Yeah, I think that this is something that maybe merits an executive session. And because of certain things that I feel, I really don't feel comfortable discussing. I don't think, I'm pretty sure I shouldn't. So I would ask that we hold this and then talk about the concerns that I have, just having reviewed the various actions.
Mr. Caltagirone, you had a comment.
Yeah, Dr. Fagley, can you please just correct me if I'm wrong? For both of these are, at least for right now, These are just consultation agreements and special matters for number 12. These are if needed on an as-is basis, correct? If something comes up and we need legal counsel, we can consult with them, or you can consult with them if need be. This is not replacing a solicitor. This is not to do anything other than give us the flexibility to have other services available to us should they be necessary.
That is correct for number 12. For number 11 is our regular special education solicitor that we've used for many, many years. Administration is recommending that we continue with them mainly because we get a unit price from the CCIU, which helps lower the price. And they've actually kept their rates the same for a number of years and have provided good legal advice on special education areas, not other areas. They're only special education.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with number 12. I understand. Yeah, number 11, it's for a large payment, and I do have some concerns that I'd like to be able to talk about that I think are more executive session type things. I don't want to do anything to violate anything. So I guess I would just ask that we hold and maybe discuss at executive session.
The plan was to go to executive session and then not come back to the meeting.
Could we just defer
Finish
voting
the-
until next month then? Do I need to make a motion?
Respectfully, you have a motion to pull, and that's what should be discussed. If you pull it, then it can go to executive session.
May I amend? Okay, so so let me just be clear to understand. So I can either pull or I can amend. Can I amend it at this point or no? I just want to make sure.
Yes, you can amend your motion.
You can amend the motion to pull.
Or Mrs. Broker could amend it if she wanted to or whatever. Correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. I'm fine with either discussing an executive session. Frankly, with the other topic that we have, I'd rather just wait till next month. But I'll, if Mrs. Broker would prefer to speak about it this evening, that's fine. I'd prefer to just wait a month until we have a chance to, take care of some other.
Mr. Goldberg, I'm sorry, Mr. Goldberg hasn't spoken on this topic yet.
Actually, this hand was for when we were done with this topic. I just want to see if anyone told the students they can leave.
Fair play.
If they want
On
to.
that note, thank you so much for joining us. If you do need to leave, we'll stay to study, but whatever.
You're welcome to stay.
So there's an open motion right now to pull the item. There has been discussion. Is there any further discussion before I call the vote?
I'd like to amend the motion to read that we pull it, discuss it, and vote on it next month. So.
Is there
I'd
a
like to-
second?
That's number 11.
But the original motion is for 11 and 12. So
For both of them, sure.
a motion and a second for, is there a second for that? I honestly don't remember at this point.
I would amend the motion and just make it for number 11.
I second that.
So we have an,
So the re-motion is to pull just number 11 so it can be discussed in executive session next month.
there is a second. Is there discussion?
Same as before. There's things I wanted to bring up and talk about, but I just can't do it now.
Noted. So at this time, we are voting on pulling number 11 and holding till exec session and discussion next month. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Abstentions? Motion
Nay.
fails. So at this time, number 11. All those in favor of passing item number 11?
Actually, I apologize, Mrs. President. We now have to go back to the original motion to pull. So now we're just on the motion to pull both items.
Pull both, apologies. So for the motion to pull both items 11 and 12, all those in favor?
Aye. Oh, wait, when we're pulling, you're meaning from voting from in consent, correct?
Correct. So they would be pushed to next month.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Aye.
Yeah,
Opposed?
have to.
Nay.
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 No.
Abstention. Motion fails. So at this time, we will be voting on number 11. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Yes.
Opposed? Abstention. Motion carries. Item
Wait,
number-
excuse me, I did not hear you say nays. I don't know if there was a blip, but I'm a nay. I'm not a affirmative.
I had the vote as 7-2.
Okay, thank you.
I was a fervent nay.
Item number 12. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Opposed?
Nay.
I have it
Motion.
now 8-1 that motion 12 passes.
Motion carries. This time we will move to the treasurer's report. Dr. Serini?
Given the way that my peers and I seem to have, and a few of us, we seem to have a completely different philosophical underpinning here. So my treasurer's report tonight is not very, it's a very difficult report. It's a very difficult report. I'm speaking to elements, receipt and payment of school funds, deposit of funds and monthly reports, audit of accounts, settlement of accounts, bonds, and investment of school district funds. I'm not able to give a complete report on receipt and payment of school funds or deposit of funds and monthly reports because I still don't have bank statements for the PAC that our constituents have been asking for. And Dr. Fegley has confirmed today that we do not have we don't have bank statements, apparently, that you might have had something the last time in August of last year. And so that's a concern that needs to be looked at. So I'm not able to reconcile that we have, a status quo receipt and payments and deposits because I don't have bank statements. I have a report that is generated in a Word document that anyone could submit. We need more official documents. I'd like to have a time frame as to when we're going to have those. And being that there's some inconsistency here, my recommendation is that we get the full accounting. Going into audit, I'm deeply concerned that with the amount of money that we have going into these accounts and that we don't have bank statements, that our audits could potentially be skewed. And as far as the bonds, I'm frankly concerned because I had been, I had requested multiple times to be included on any correspondence related to the bonds. I have not gotten included on anything yet. I see trade activity being reported to the Municipal Securities Review Board that's going back into March. So I would like to make a motion that we need some help here. We need some help. I'd like to make a motion. We had our former board member and constituent suggest that we have a community advisory committee. We have too many people inquiring. We have too many questions. And I'm thrilled that we have our forensic audit that's being released, and that in that iteration, what was communicated earlier is that the amounts there are seemingly
Please-
less.
Please
Whatever
be
was.
careful that we don't delve into executive session at this point.
Thank you. I understand. Whatever was communicated in that press release today is wonderful. I am just suggesting that to be perfectly, to show our constituents who have raised questions and waited patiently, and given that I still have this many months into it, uncertainty, and that the district is not able to generate an official bank statement, it gives me even more ammunition to be the minority here, frankly, which is not easy. But
Dr. Serini, can I just
Yes.
address about the bank statements? The PAC bank statements were in our finance reports. It's just we haven't received a recent one, but they were there originally. So if you look in there, you can
then
see
maybe
the
you should tell
statements.
Dr. Fegley, because he was not able to generate one. I've been asking for quite some time.
You asked a question, and I did respond in my email telling you where it was
and I asked you if they were bank statements or the self-generated Word in the Word documents. I have not seen any bank statements, and Dr. Fegley just confirmed today that he does not have them in the district, nor does Rich. So I'm going by what I've been told by our administration. I would love nothing more than to be able to say, oh, I've looked at it, we have it, everything's great. But the fact that I don't have it and we're repeatedly being asked for it, it's not good. And we have a responsibility as treasurer. I'm supposed to report out on this. We didn't have a meeting in March. In February, I deferred my report based on trying to get my information together. Okay, we owe it to our community members to have this information together. Do you think this is not easy for me to have to sit here and be the person to communicate this when I have a majority of people that I'm looking at on my screen here who've done, who've opposed everything that I've suggested.
Point of order.
Yes.
This is not germane to the report, and this is also talking against the board members. President, I call a point of order, please.
And I'll make a point of order for everybody who's in the windows here, rolling their eyes and throwing themselves back in their chairs and everything else. So now we have a mutual point of order.
Point of order. This is
At
not
this
germane.
point, we are digressing. Please finish.
Well, I'd like to make, okay, so let's
And we
go
will
back to
move
my
forward.
motion. Let's go back to my motion. I'd like to have a motion that we have a separate entity to just to report out and be a resource for the community. I believe it was mentioned in Ms. Longo's email that we have a bridge, what she suggested. We need to have some type of final resource here, especially given the amount of uncertainty with certain aspects of this.
Is there a second?
I would second that.
Discussion.
I could.
Mr. Goldberg, I'm sorry, Mr. Goldberg, did you have a comment?
Yeah, the entity or bridge or what's being suggested, these things already exist. That's what we do. We do this all the time. When I say we, I mean the board and the officers of the board and the members of the board. Dr. Serini, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing that there's a need out there, but I guess what I'm saying is we're fulfilling that need. The implication that we need some sort of another more red tape or some other more bureaucracy is not going to accelerate. It's only going to slow things down. There's nothing underhanded going on here. There's nothing being hidden, and at least for me, I'm not voting no on things just because they're forwarded by you. I'm voting no on things that I disagree with, and yes on things that I do agree with. And what you're requesting, it's not that it's unnecessary. It's just that, well, it's not that it's unnecessary. It is necessary, but it's being addressed. Many of us are looking at this all the time. I mean all the time.
Mr. Caltagirone?
So if I understand this request correctly, and because the circuitous route we took to all this, I'm not even sure what the request is. But it seems to
I
me
can't
the
hear.
request is around, let me speak. It seems to me this request is around the PAC and the bank statements for the PAC. And as much as I myself may have reservations about the setup and how it's currently constructed, it is not a bank account that is held by the district. In fact, the entire PAC setup was brought before the board back in 2017 before myself, Ms. Broker, Ms. Emanuel, and Ms. Soto took office. It was the October 17 board meeting at which a prior board member brought it before the entire board and made the entire board aware of what was going to happen. Then there was radio silence for 18 months until we got to the budget cycle last year and we found out that the rental revenue, almost by accident, when a question was asked about rental revenue, and we found out that the rental revenue for those sports fields, for particular sports fields, was going to the PAC. And I voiced my objections to it then, and I'm not going to rehash all that now, but this is not a district-held account. It is not something that we have jurisdiction over necessarily, that we see the bank statement coming through every month. The boosters hold the bank statement. Again, I'm not talking about the setup and whether I agree or disagree with the setup, but as it currently exists, we have no way of demanding that on a monthly basis from the administration, unless we choose to bring it back in-house, and that's a whole nother issue. That's a whole separate set of circumstances. So to say you cannot complete your duties as treasurer because this piece of information is missing is quite honestly factually incorrect, because it's not a district account that you have.
But it's our money.
District money.
So if I may, they are willing to send us the bank statements.
They're willing to send us the bank statements. Like, I
Dr.
can't even
Serini,
believe.
If I may finish, please.
Of course.
You again asked me today at 5 o'clock, around 5 o'clock for the statement.
Oh,
Today.
no, I began
I'm
asking
gonna
you
say-
well
I said
before
you
today.
asked me again, no, I'm not saying you didn't ask before. I said you asked me today. I did respond that I didn't have it to hand over right now. I did. So I'm not saying the ask has been made. I have no doubts it won't be here.
We should not even have to, it should be, you should have given it to me previously when I asked. And Mr. Caltagirone, okay, number one, how we have monies going to an outside entity. We don't even know what form of ownership. It's not a 501c3, I think, because that's what I've been told, because I haven't even seen it. There's no DBA. There might be an EIN, but if there's no DBA as business as, then what account is it going into? In the middle of.
Can I call a point of order? This has nothing to do with the vote that's currently on the table.
What, we're not voting.
There's not
on
even a
the
vote. There's not a
treasurer's
vote. She
report.
wanted to do a report.
I mean, I made a motion. We need
She
to
made
do
a motion for a
something.
committee to
Correct,
create a
correct. I
committee.
apologize. Yes, yes.
And we're having a
Thank you,
discussion
Soto.
as to why that's necessary.
So
Okay,
let's move forward. Call the vote. I'm sorry, Ms. Reed, I forget the verbiage?
Call the question.
I'm
Call
sorry.
the vote,
question.
as long
I
as it's
assumed to call the
understood.
question.
I don't get to speak. I don't get to speak on this.
Question.
I called the question. So at this time, it is a yes or no vote on
Okay. So,
creating a task force that already exists.
No, first we have to take the vote to take the vote.
Right.
Thank you. I apologize. So all those in favor of taking the vote?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
nay,
Nay.
meaning we need to discuss it more, correct? A nay vote means that we discuss it more.
yeah,
Correct.
speak on this.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a 6-3.
Yes, that is what I heard. So at this time, to clarify the motion, It is to create a community engagement task force that already exists.
It does not, if it existed, then where have been the members and where have been let me clarify my motion. My motion is this, and I see Mrs. Broker has her hand raised and she should have the courtesy of being able to speak. This is a very serious moment, okay? We have a member of the public who's a former board member who has made a request, who has information. We have incomplete information, and we have other members of the public who have been asking about these items for quite some time. And we still—
This isn't a clarification on your actual motion, though. This is your—
Okay, so, okay, my motion is this. I am moving that we have a separate committee formed to ensure and be a resource that will further explore the fiscal aspects of this situation. I would like to, we could call it a treasurer subcommittee would probably be appropriate, because all the things that I report out on that I still do not have information which do relate. So I'm going to move that we have a treasurer subcommittee formed to comprise internal and external stakeholders to identify research questions that will guide a inquiry to further assure our public that we have done our appropriate due diligence with the reliability and validity of making sure that all of our funds are accounted for.
Noted. So calling for a treasurer's subcommittee, we called the vote. So all those in favor of forming a treasurer's subcommittee, say aye.
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 Opposed? Nay.
Nay. No.
Motion fails.
I'd like to make a motion. And my motion is to have either either the treasurer or the secretary, who are both the ones who are liable for anything like this, to be able to sit on the board of the PAC. And because I know that there is an actual
Point of order. I hear what you're saying, but we can't appoint ourselves to other people's boards.
Well, yeah, actually, if you look at the bylaws, there is an ex officio member. And given, that we need to have oversight over this. I don't think that should be controversial.
Thank you.
But before we get into discussion, is there a second for appointing a board member?
I second that. Well, I'd actually like to amend that. I'd like to amend that, if I may.
First, please.
Okay.
So Ms. Broker made a motion and Dr. Serini seconded it.
Oh, she did?
And it was to appoint, I believe it was to appoint.
Well, no, I was going to amend it, but I think I was going to amend it, and then Dr. Fegley indicated we needed to second it. So I didn't speak in terms of, I'm going to hold off.
So then
Can we
discussion.
call the vote?
So there is no second.
What? Dr. Serini made a second. Didn't you?
No, I was going to amend it, but Dr. Fegley indicated that before I could amend, we needed a second. I'll second it. So discussion?
Yeah, the reason I feel this is necessary is that I have actually been asking since April of last year for the documentation so that we could have some oversight over the use of over the amounts that are made and spent, and making sure that they're accounted for, because this is public money. And it's on the people who are actually insured, that if this comes to a point where somebody is going to challenge it, it's the bonded officers who are on the line. And I really feel that it's putting us at, why would you put us at that kind of risk? I mean, unless you want to buy it, I'm happy for you to purchase another bond. You can, I mean, I bought my own bond, but if you want to bond me for $1 million, then that's fine. It's not right for us to be put in that position. It's not right.
And Mr. Weiss would like to speak.
This topic has a lot of tentacles to it. I think it deserves its own place in an agenda at some other place and time. If we do not want to give a treasurer's report because Dr. Serini feels it's incomplete, so be it. We haven't had one yet for quite a while, so one more month won't bother me personally. I understand their concerns. You know, they're the ones that are signing it, but to give it its fair due, I think there are some basic decisions the board needs to make in its relationship to the PAC, that doing it through modified motions and band-aided through here is not the way to do this. This deserves its own slice of time where people can prepare and people can, make some good judgments, hopefully, and we can come to a place where we feel comfortable, because this is an arrangement that was board approved at one point in time, whether I agree with it or not. I'll be able to speak to when it gets on the agenda as an item. So I recommend that we move on, because we have another executive session to go. The points are well taken. Pull the suckers and let's move.
I can agree with that.
Dr. Serini?
Thank you. I was actually going to make an amendment to Mrs. Broker's motion, which would be, the simple fix is to, my motion is to direct the PAC to, we should have the money coming into a district account. So I believe that they should no longer have control of the funds and inflows and outflows. Simple.
Is there a second?
I could second that. That would put
Discussion.
Yeah, I think that's right. I can second that. I think that this is public money that's just, there's no oversight. It's wrong. And it can't exist. It's got to stop. We're going to get in trouble. And I would prefer that we can disband it and that money should be coded as rent. That's what it is.
Disbanded is not what she proposed, and I would like to add that the members of the PAC did months ago say that they are more than happy to have the monies held in the district accounts. We were simply waiting, unfortunately, thanks COVID, but we were going to have them come to a meeting, a finance meeting, so that they could give everybody all of the information so that we could then, to Mr. Weiss's point, make informed decisions. One of the proposals being that the monies be held in district accounts. Mm-hmm. This is not the time for this discussion. It will be brought to finance. We will discuss it at length so that folks have the information that they need. That time is not this time, and it would have been by now had we not had a pandemic.
Well, no, this was going on for months and months. I have not, as Mr. Weiss pointed out, I have not been able to give a treasurer's report because I have not had complete information.
I'm going to comment on this real quick because, we have discussed this in finance and they were going to be on the April agenda, and then we had a pandemic. But we've had this discussion many times over the PAC of having them come, having them talk to us, everyone ask their questions. And I feel like we're just bringing up the same thing over and over again when we know that we're supposed to have a discussion for it. But given the circumstances, we have not been able to have that discussion. So, yes, it's important. And yes, we need to still have this discussion. But right now we're trying to, have our district function. And we can't even do that having a meeting because we're bringing up things that are just we've already spoken about.
These are
So-
things that are public and our constituents.
I know
have
they're
asked about
important,
that
don't get
nobody
me
has given
wrong.
an
Excuse
answer,
me,
and I'm
Dr.
supposed to
Serini,
repeat
I'm
it word for
speaking.
word out.
Point of order,
I'm
Dr.
speaking.
Serini, please let Ms. Soto finish.
I know this is important, and I'm saying that there's a time and place to have the conversation, but I don't think that place is now. That is what I'm saying, because right now we have an agenda, and we were supposed to have a consent agenda because we had a lot to discuss, and we have not even gotten to the things that we still need to discuss further in the agenda. So I'm asking that we have this discussion at another time.
I'm just saying, and every minute that goes on that that money from the public is being put into a private bank account is an illegal.
But nobody is arguing with you, Ms. Berker, about this.
I
We're
know.
just saying that now is not the time to have the conversation.
Stop. Like,
And no money's going in. No, I hate to interrupt, but the fields are not being rented.
For the past month, but what about the months prior to that? And what about the monies being spent? We don't have okay, I'm gonna say one final thing and then I'll call the vote myself if I have to. We do not have an official reconciliation because we don't have bank statements. That's scary to me. That's all I'm gonna
I was speaking
say.
to Ms. Broker saying that monies were going in. I was clarifying no monies are going in at this time.
in there, and every minute that goes by that there's money in a public money in a private account, you know, and frankly for the good of the officers of that account. I mean, somebody could say that's conversion. It's not. It's something that's got to stop.
I just don't think it's right for it to give the perception that this is not an important topic when we've had this discussion before. So that's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry, Mr. Goldberg, you've been waiting patiently.
I was just not, we haven't just had this conversation before. We've had it ad nauseum. We've had it repeatedly. We have other things we have to get to. I'm not minimizing this, but this is completely circular. We're wasting time.
Dr. Serena,
No comment. Nothing
you
else
had
to
your hand
say.
raised.
That must have been from before. I will unraise it. Apologies for that.
At this time, we are voting on moving the funds into a district account. All those,
Actually,
I can't make this, we can't.
That's a dilatory motion because we can't force someone to
That's
hand
right.
over money.
Right. I make a motion
It's
that we
our money.
pull,
It's our money.
I make a motion that we pull this motion
President
until we can have
Emmanuel,
further discussion.
you can call it a dilatory motion because it cannot occur. We
Thank
are
you.
not
Not true.
hustlers.
So I will call, it's a dilatory motion, and then do we vote on that, or is
There
there?
is no vote. You as president say that this motion cannot occur because it's dilatory and we could not enforce it.
What's the big?
I greatly appreciate your insight on this, Ms. Reed. So this is a dilatory motion, therefore we cannot vote on it. We are moving forward. Does that conclude the treasurer's report?
It sure looks like it does, doesn't it? Thank you.
Noted. So at this time, we were supposed to go into the budget report and presentation and finish with public comments. However, we are an hour late for an executive session.
We still need to vote on the other items.
The other items were passed.
we're fine on all the other items.
We're done with voting. Yep.
Is the budgetary piece, which
It's the budget meeting. So at this point, Dr. Fagley, do you have a recommendation for how to manage moving forward with this?
I would recommend that we finish with public comment and then move into executive session.
Would we come back after executive session for the budget presentation, or would we push that off until our May 4th meeting? Which,
I would recommend we
Budget
push it
discussion.
off to the May 4th meeting.
thank you. At this time, Dr. Whitehead, I will ask you to speak to round 2 of the public comments, please, and thank you.
You're very welcome, Madam President. Okay. Our first part 2 of public comment is from Ms. Longo. Public comment on forensic audit and request for information. Request that both the documents and she has 2 attached documents that will be noted for the board. Those 2 documents regarding the forensic audit. Another comment from Ms. Longo. I will read this one in its entirety. Once again, I request that my comments be read in their entirety and the attached documents be included in board minutes. As part of the regular audit, it is required that a report be issued on the internal controls. This was also part of the scope of the forensic audit. One of the major issues uncovered was the diversion of district funds to the Phoenixville Athletic Boosters bank account. It was specifically included in the scope of the forensic audit. I also met with Dr. Fegley and an auditor from Rainier and Company to discuss this issue. Internal controls exist to ensure that assets and resources are protected. This is especially true in public entities such as the school district. We discussed the issues around materiality, which is the guidance in audits as to what dollar amounts are to be considered and reported upon.
Excuse me, Dr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Can somebody verify that the feed is working so that the public can hear this? I'm getting notification that it's possible that it might not be working. Can someone please verify that? I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's important that if we're off that we.
There is a delay. There's a delay in the feed. From
But
what
is it?
It is working?
It's working? Okay, thank you.
Well,
Sorry.
let me confirm that, but there is a delay in the live feed. It's about a 30-second to a minute delay in what.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that it was a delay, but that we're off air.
Okay. All right, let me
Thank you.
let me double check it real quick
Thank you for checking. Apologies for interrupting,
Okay.
Dr. Whitehead.
as well. Joe just checked everything and it's working. So,
I have text messages saying it is working.
okay.
Thank you.
Internal controls exist to ensure that assets and resources are protected. This is especially true in public entities such as the school district. We discussed the issues around materiality, which is the guidance in audits as to what dollar amounts are to be considered and reported upon. At times, issues can be excluded from reporting based on materiality. The discussion we had was to agree that in this audit, no amount would be considered immaterial, since there were multiple areas where there was a suspicion of the failure of internal controls. This included, but was not limited to, the diversion of district funds to the Phoenixville Athletic Boosters, the possible internal failure to follow district policies and procedures, and improper cash handling. One aspect of this specific issue that cannot be overlooked is that some of the specific expenditures the Phoenixville Athletic Boosters made without board review or approval included items the prior board had rejected. These items were seen as extras, quote unquote, and the administration was instructed to ask the booster to fundraise separately for these items. As the chair of finance at the time, I met repeatedly with a representative from the Phoenixville Athletic Boosters and the administration after we uncovered this issue. I asked that if necessary, the administration go back and find the minutes of the meetings where this was discussed, and the board rejected this spending and did not include in the budget these items. My conclusions from this were that the superintendent and boosters mistakenly called the field revenue, quote unquote, fundraising. It was further my opinion that the forensic audit would specifically test the internal controls regarding funding and projects and offer an opinion on whether this constituted a failure of the internal controls in violation of this policy. We know there were other material weaknesses in the district internal controls. Those also should have been reported in both the annual and the forensic audits. Due to the prior annual audits uncovering this and other serious and material mistakes, I had first asked the Rainier and Company to be replaced. When that vote failed, I was assured the forensic audit would thoroughly examine and report on this and other issues. I'm asking now, where is the report on the internal controls? Why, while the forensic audit is being withheld, there is no reason to withhold the report and findings on the internal controls, including if the prior recommendations made regarding internal controls were implemented. I request the board immediately make available to the public a detailed report on internal controls. Next report is from this is Jessica Bicker. My name is Jessica Bicker, PAHS librarian, speaking about funding our school libraries. One of the goals in the district strategic plan is to, quote, allocate resources to foster excellence for all students. Our country's health crisis especially has revealed the importance of access to resources for our students. In a time of trying to get the best return on investment, providing library resources that are equitable and adequate is critical. Because many resources can be shared among teachers and classrooms, funding the libraries is an economical way to make sure students are equipped with what they need. Even if students cannot physically visit libraries right now, digital resources can help to fulfill that missing piece of their learning experience. Our students need to be able to read, to have access to ebooks and audiobooks, to research, and to explore quality information resources. And hopefully sometime soon, our students can be in our libraries again. Please support school library funding. In the budget, there is a rationale, attachment rationale that will be shared with the board. Next comment is also from Mrs. Longo. Since my public comments and questions were not read last week, they have not been responded to. I ask that all these comments be read in their entirety and included in the minutes prior to board voting items. First, on buildings and grounds, do we not have maintenance staff qualified to update the SLEP? Why do we need to spend money to do an analysis of needed maintenance repairs? Why can't our staff do this? Second, given uncertainties with upcoming school funding, it seems questionable to go forward with any expenditures at this time not specifically tied to academic needs of reopening current buildings. Second, well, finance, employment contract. This is a very high salary for the district. They are very talented people available in this field. And for a district our size, spending this amount on a director is uncalled for and unwise. We already have several highly paid administrators. If the board wants to add another, they should consider review the entire administration salaries. This is something the prior board had discussed, and I believe was part of our budget discussion in past several years. While I understand the need to fill this important position, the district does not need to spend $165,000 per year. What is our average teacher pay? What is the average support staff? This constant inequality is wrong and needs to stop. How many total highly paid administrators do we have, not including building administrators paid over $100,000? The board should not approve this contract and should undertake an analysis of district needs and organization. Please vote no. Budget. What is the plan for the budget for contingency and state funding decreases? Having attended the last virtual meeting, which had a budget presentation with no budget actually presented, and the budget town hall that also did not include a presentation of the actual budget, I wonder how the public is going to be included in a conversation regarding the budget and when. The next comment is from Belinda Lindsay in East Pikeland. Since most people at this time are out of work and struggling to buy food, pay rent, or mortgage, they cannot afford a tax increase. Resources need to be studied to help offset this increase of 1.6%. Number one, 290,600 government allotment for the virus. 2, paying bus contracts when not in use. 3, only using 10% of sports budget of 150,000. 4, teachers online teaching. Subset, teacher can reach a larger number of students than a regular classroom. Can this help offset some of the course cost? 5, our bonds can be renegotiated due to the low interest rate. I know there are other areas you can pull income from, help to defer, decrease, defer and increase. Next comment is from Susan Rousseau. Hello, please provide insight to the following questions. Why were the financial statements with PDE filed before receiving the audit results? I thought any amount of cash that is stolen should be considered quote unquote material for an audit. Why was the theft of cash not mentioned in the auditor's report? Why did the audit not mention anything about lack of internal controls? It states they will not give an opinion on this topic. Who is responsible for signing the financial statements, PDE, and annual report? Please clarify when these reports were filed and where can the public access copies. I appreciate your attention and look forward to your response. Best regards, Susan. Okay. And the last public comment is from Mrs. Tammy Kurtz. Good evening. I'm proud to represent the Phoenixville Area School District teachers who have been working very hard to maintain consistent quality education through this very difficult time. We have stepped up to the challenge of virtual learning with very little training. We have transferred our curriculum and created courses on Canvas so that students can not only access their education, but can thrive academically. We all agree this will not replace the educational quality of face-to-face learning, but under the unique circumstances, we are doing our best to create learning environments for all of the students in the Phoenixville area school district. Last week, PIEA raised just under $5,000 and plans to donate these funds to the following Phoenixville organizations: Orion, Alianzas de Phoenixville, and PAX. Big shout out to the PIEA retired teachers who so graciously participate. We will continue to work hard to support the students and families in Phoenixville. We appreciate the support you give us at the board level to continue quality programming, consistent class sizes, extracurricular activities, and the support staff that works alongside us to meet the needs of all students. Respectfully, Tammy Kurtz, PIEA President. Madam President, what we decided.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Madam President, we had two more comments that just came in. Thomas Jones, Schuylkill Township. How can the board not get statements monthly on public funds and have to balance these accounts? What is the PAC that these accounts and why is there not more transparency? To be honest, I'm not surprised there were discrepancies in the field. They probably are due to circumstances way above the business office. Two more just came in, Madam President. This is from Ms. Kelly Goodwin. I just want you all to be aware that even though we as employee and residents are aware that Zoom meetings are definitely out of everyone's norm, please be aware that the public is watching, and while your comments about previous minutes and issues are important, the large majority of people that logged in tonight were here for the discussion and vote on the budget, as was the advertised main topic. With all the side conversations and arguments, you went from 2 hours without ever getting to the budget. Please be respectful of your constituents' time and each other's. I do not feel this is acceptable or respectful of our time. Tonight, we logged in for 2 hours of arguments, and then we're told we had to wait until the next meeting to hear any conversation about tonight's agenda. Thank you, Ms. Kelly Goodwin, Phoenixville Area High School business teacher. And the last comment is from Mr. Moraz, which just came in. Good evening. This is very simple. Get the minutes correct the first time. How hard is this? I handed in my presentation. It's not included. This is not typical. It's not. We are paying someone to take minutes, and administration should double check before they are sent to the board. Audio is horrible at times, and graphics are unreadable. Why? Not a good presentation for the viewers. And that does conclude the public comment.
Thank you. And Mr. Goldberg has been patiently waiting.
I don't want to speak out of place here, Dr. Fegley, but would you mind very much responding, or speaking to the audit and the recent news with the bond rating to the extent you're able? I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder or get in the president's way, but I think it might be timely to talk, to at least mention it.
Certainly.
I agree.
I'm going to actually call on Mr. Fazio. So Mr. Fazio, if you are still listening, if you could come on. I'll talk about a couple of the other items that have been asked in questions before. The general audit just has been asked why weren't different parts in the general audit with regards to the potential of misappropriated funds. Folks do need to know that the auditor and the forensic auditor did discuss this in February, and it was determined that it did not, between them, they did not need to include it in the report. However, we have included all that information to all our bond raters, so they have heard everything. We have let them know that why Mr. Fazio is with us. We have let them know that we were under a forensic audit. And when the terms of the forensic audit were revealed this past week, we did have to we did share that with with the bond counsel and the rating agencies, and they said thank you for sharing. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the very good news from Mr. Fazio.
Thank you, Dr. Fegley. Thank you, school board. Some pretty excellent news with respect to our bond rating. We had a AA2 with a negative outlook, which is a good rating, but the negative outlook impaired the district in many regards, most importantly financially, when you go out and sell bonds. Dr. Fagley and I presented twice to the rating agency Moody's and presented the outlook for the district. And we argued that the financial outlook was anything but a negative one. We believe that the financial outlook is a positive one and should be stable at best or at worst. And Moody's came back with a number of questions. We probably spent several hours on the phone with them. The great news is that Moody's removed the negative rating. It's a AA2 with a stable outlook. But most importantly, and what that means to the district is that when we enter the market and we sell our bonds, the minimum that removal of the negative rating is potentially about $160,000 to $400,000 of reduced interest costs. So by the removal of that negative rating, we save the district anywhere between $160,000 and $400,000. So pretty good news.
I would just like Mr. Fazio and the entire business office for the hard work that they've done to really, come back from a challenging situation and, just do wonderful things for our district and to help, with the taxpayers and, with everything that we're facing. So just thank you, and thank you to your team as well for all the hard work. It is greatly appreciated.
Madam President, I can answer a couple of the other questions that were asked last week and also this week. One of the questions was about transportation. Are we paying the transportation folks while they during this downtime? What I can say at this point is Act 13 requires us to negotiate with the bus company, and we're in the process of negotiations right now. There are some questions about additional expenses the district is facing. I think it's important to note, first and foremost, that all faculty and staff have been working during this pandemic. And that is a significant point to make, that all are working. We're getting lots of work done in our buildings, and we're proud of all that the staff are doing, the faculty are doing. So as shared last week, we have taken on projects that normally would have been outsourced. That is a savings. And we're doing some really, really good work, outstanding work, honestly, in teaching our students. We've grown so much in the last 6 weeks. It's phenomenal. There have been some additional costs for laptops and hotspots, as noted. We have applied for grants. We did not receive the most recent equity grant, but when you look at who received it, it wasn't a surprise that we didn't receive it. Many, many districts did not receive that grant. There's been questions about what's going to happen this coming fall. That's a
Dr. Fegley?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but regarding the bus contract, I've had a couple people ask me about this. Could you please comment on whether are we allowed to just not pay the bus contract?
The law requires that we negotiate. Where the negotiations ends is a different scenario. So we're not
allowed to just not pay it.
We're not allowed not to negotiate.
Okay, and we're also not allowed to just not send in a check. In other words, not pay them.
Right.
Okay.
We would potentially, if we did not pay the rest of the year, we would potentially be forfeiting the reimbursement that we received from the state.
And that's what I'm getting at. I've had a couple constituents ask about why we continue to pay the bus company, and I just want everyone out there who may be listening to understand that we can't just not pay the bus company. We're by law required to, or be in jeopardy of losing funds.
But right now, if people ask, are we sending any more money to the bus company? I do have to be honest and say the answer is no. We're in negotiations as to how much more we may or may not send.
Right, but the specific the terminology that I received was really specific. Why do we still have to pay them? And I want people out there listening to understand that we can't just not pay them just because they're not driving.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, that's quite all right. Thank you for the clarification. There's been questions about what will the fall look like. We are in the process of working up multiple scenarios, and we'll be working with the board and the community on the multiple scenarios. frankly, we don't know right now. The information we've received from the governor's office shows a red, yellow, and greens opening. I think a lot more information is needed, and quite frankly, we need the summer to understand where this whole pandemic situation is going before we sit there and make any rash decisions. So we will be coming up with multiple scenarios presenting to the board and to the public as we go down the road. Regarding the farmhouse question and the lease, obviously some people are watching because we had some text messages come in from the person who is interested, and that, I don't know where that rumor is coming from, but they're very much interested in moving forward with the lease. So that's the rumor mill. I hopefully debunked on that one. Forensic audit, there's been questions on the forensic audit. I would remind the public that after tonight's board meeting later this evening, we'll be putting up a timeline on the forensic audit. The forensic audit itself will not be up, but if you go to our webpage, you'll be able to find the information on the timeline. I believe, Madam President, those are the items I was trying to get to.
Great, thank you very much. So at this time, we will adjourn to an executive session on a legal matter. Thank you all. Have a good evening.